the sun rose slowly over Dreamdale, painting the sky in soft pastel pinks and warm golden hues that seemed to shimmer over the town with a gentle, magical glow. And Barbie stirred in her pink satin sheets, blinking her eyes open as the first light brushed her face, the warmth of the morning sun spreading across her skin and making her heart flutter with a strange but comforting feeling of anticipation, as though the world itself had taken a deep breath in preparation for something special that had yet to unfold. And she stretched lightly, feeling the soft, silky fabric of her sheets against her fingertips and letting her gaze drift to the window, where the garden below shimmered in the early light, dew sparkling like tiny diamonds on the grass and petals of delicate flowers glistening in the breeze, while across the dream house, Ken adjusted the cuff of his crisp light blue shirt, his heart beating with a nervous yet excited rhythm as he watched the sunlight illuminate the walls of his airy room, imagining the moments he and Barbie had shared in the past days and feeling a rush of warmth that spread from his chest down to his fingers and toes, a mixture of happiness, hope, and something tender that he had never quite experienced before. And as Barbie rose from bed, her feet brushing softly against the carpet, she tiptoed toward the balcony, the air carrying the faint scent of blooming roses and fresh morning dew. And when she stepped outside, the breeze teased strands of her hair around her face, making her giggle softly as her eyes drifted across the garden where Ken had just stepped out of his room. And in that instant, their gazes met across the distance, both pausing for just a heartbeat as if time itself had slowed to let them feel the depth of this shared moment. And they exchanged shy smiles that spoke volumes, smiles filled with unspoken curiosity, admiration, and a gentle recognition of the feelings that were slowly growing between them. And then Barbie descended the steps of the dream house, feeling her heart skip with each step, the flowers along the path dancing lightly in the breeze as if encouraging her forward, while Ken, watching her from across the garden, straightened his posture and inhaled deeply, realizing how every detail of her movement, the sway of her hair, the soft flow of her dress, the light in her eyes, made the morning feel infinitely brighter. And as they walked toward each other through the blooming cherry blossom trees, petals drifting lazily in the sunlight like confetti, they began to speak softly, their voices blending with the gentle sounds of birdsong and rustling leaves, Barbie sharing small thoughts about how peaceful the morning felt and Ken responding with subtle hints that her presence made everything feel calmer and more vibrant, their conversation weaving a tapestry of quiet connection as they walked, side by side, sometimes brushing shoulders, the warmth of proximity sending tiny shivers of delight through both of them. And when they reached a bench near the sparkling dream fountain, its soft blue light shimmering against the morning sun, they sat down, close but careful, and Ken reached into his pocket with a nervous yet gentle smile, presenting a small, freshly picked pink flower, and Barbie's cheeks warmed instantly, a blush spreading like soft sunlight as she accepted it, holding it delicately in her hands and feeling the weight of the gesture as heavier than any words could convey. And they laughed softly together, a musical, airy sound that mingled with the fountain's gentle gurgle and seemed to echo off the trees and petals around them, while their eyes remained locked, communicating more in silence than speech. And as the laughter faded, Barbie found herself speaking in a hushed voice about the small dreams she kept tucked away, the hopes and quiet wishes she rarely shared with anyone. And Ken listened intently, eyes soft and sincere, occasionally nodding, occasionally reaching out to brush a stray strand of hair from her face, each movement deliberate but gentle, filling the air with a warm, almost tangible electricity that was both exciting and comforting. And then they rose to continue their walk, hands almost touching, fingers brushing lightly as they passed the lilac bushes, causing each of them to breathe a little faster, hearts thumping in the shared rhythm of anticipation. And Barbie felt a tiny laugh rise in her throat as a butterfly landed near them, prompting Ken to comment softly about the beauty of little unexpected moments. And she smiled, feeling her chest swell with affection for the gentle, kind presence that Ken carried with him, their steps carrying them toward the lakeside where the water reflected the pastel sky in delicate, shimmering ripples, the soft lapping of the lake mingling with the faint rustle of leaves, creating a lullaby that seemed written only for them. And they sat together on the wooden dock, shoulders touching, knees brushing lightly, the warmth of proximity settling comfortably. And Barbie, feeling brave, shared more of her heart, her voice quivering softly with emotion, the sunlight catching her tears that were bright with joy rather than sorrow. And Ken reached out instinctively, offering comfort through a subtle brush of his fingers across hers. And when she looked at him, the look she saw in his eyes, soft, protective, admiring, tender, made her heart leap. And they leaned slightly closer, sharing a silence that was thick with meaning, the kind of silence where words are unnecessary, where the connection is too deep to describe. And gradually, almost unnoticeably at first, their hands intertwined, fingers lacing together like a perfect puzzle, and a warmth surged through both of them, spreading from their joined hands to their hearts, filling every corner of their being with a quiet, yet profound happiness. And as they rose from the dock, still holding hands, they walked back toward the dream house, the sun beginning to dip, painting the world in soft shades of gold and amber that seemed to celebrate their union in light. And as they reached Barbie's door, they paused, hearts still fluttering, smiles shy but luminous, each hesitant to speak yet desperate to convey their feelings through gaze, through posture, through the gentle squeezing of hands, until finally Barbie whispered, "Today was perfect." And Ken responded softly, almost reverently, "It felt like everything finally made sense when I was with you." And she nodded, breathing in the warmth of his words, and in that moment, the golden light of the sunset seemed to embrace them, the petals around them drifting slowly to the ground as if nature itself was honoring the tender bond they had forged. And though they parted at the doorstep, each returning to their rooms, their hearts remained entwined, beating in harmony, carrying the sweetness of shared smiles, the memory of delicate touches, the unspoken promises held in their eyes. And even as the sun sank behind the horizon, the sky painted with streaks of rose and amber, the warmth lingered, wrapping them in a quiet glow that neither time nor distance could dim. And as Barbie lay back in her bed that evening, she clutched the small pink flower Ken had given her, inhaling its soft fragrance and remembering the gentle brush of his hand, the sparkle in his eyes, the kindness and sincerity that filled the day with magic. While across the hall, Ken gazed out of his window at the same fading light, thinking of Barbie's laughter, her soft blush, the gentle sway of her hair in the breeze, and he whispered quietly to himself, a promise meant only for her, that this was just the beginning of something beautiful, something that would grow slowly, patiently, and with every heartbeat more profoundly than either could imagine. And though the night drew its blanket of soft stars across the sky, the warmth of their morning, the soft romance, the laughter, the shy touches, the exchanged glances, the gentle revelations of their hearts lingered like golden threads weaving through their souls. And as they drifted toward sleep, their dreams intertwined, filled with gardens glowing in morning light, petals drifting in slow motion, the fountain shimmering in quiet reflection, and a world that seemed created just for them, where each heartbeat, each glance, each whispered word was amplified in its importance, carrying the weight of a love that was tender, patient, sweet, and everlasting, the kind of love that begins quietly, blossoms slowly, and promises to grow, not with grand gestures, but with countless small moments, perfectly gentle, perfectly warm, perfectly theirs.